Hello, and welcome to the Majestic Army. You may have found yourself, while playing Halo, noticing that the sniper rifle has a little bit of ricochet. So, I can shoot this wall at the right angle, and it hits that corner. But you may have also wondered if you could add it to other weapons or even vehicles, and the answer is yes, very easily even with assembly. So, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to add it to the plasma pistol and the tank, or more specifically, its big gun at the top. So here's a little demo of what you should be able to do at the end of this video. So, make bullets ricochet, bounce all over, and for the Scorpion, make the big cannon bounce around like that. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and select which map you want to modify the weapons vehicles on. So I'm just going to be modifying it on Forge World, so that's the one I selected. Go ahead and launch it. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and launch assembly. Now, if you don't have assembly installed, there's tons of videos on YouTube on how to install it. Just search like MCC assembly and you'll find it. And once you go ahead and launch it, what you want to do is open up the map that you are trying to modify by clicking Open Content File and selecting the map. Now, if you're not sure what the map name is, go to Help and hit Map Names, and this will give you a list of every map in every Halo. So simply just scroll down to Multiplayer or Firefighter Campaign, whatever you're trying to modify, and find your map. So I'm modifying Forge World, so Forge_Halo. So back at the start page, open the content file and find your map. So I'm going to do that. Alright. Once you have clicked on your map, go ahead and go to this. In the top left, it says Tags. Click that, and it'll give you a list of every single thing that you can modify on that map. So we're trying to start with the plasma pistol and make it bounce. So I'm going to type the word plasma in the search bar. And there's still a ton of different items in this list, but since it's a plasma pistol, it's going to be a weapon. So in the second from the bottom, you see WEAP. That's the weapon, so click that, the little arrow, and look through the list until you find the plasma pistol. So it's like it's right here. Go ahead and click that, and you should see that the main area now is filled with all the information of the plasma pistol. So since we're trying to modify the projectile, go ahead and click the search bar and type the word projectile. And then click, it probably will say secondary flags, but whatever this button says to the right, click it, and click the second projectile button. And that'll bring you right down here. You know you're in the right spot because it should say projectile, P-R-O-G, or J rather, and then a projectile. So that's what we're looking for. Go ahead and click the X because we don't need everything grayed out. And you want to hit the small little go to button to the right. Okay, so this opens up the projectile that the plasma pistol shoots. What you want to do now is go to the search bar and type the word reflection. And there's only two options here, so we're already here. So just go ahead and get rid of the X so that it ungrays everything. So this controls how the object interacts with different surfaces. So we're going to go right here to where it says material response, and you should see that it says 0 through 8 parentheses 9, or if it's a different weapon or vehicle, it may have a different number. These are all the different surfaces that the bolt interacts with. So this one, default material, is like some terrains, some basic objects. The second one's liquids, that's going to be your water. The third one is hard metal thick, so that's going to be some of your forgeable items, and the list goes on. What you want to do is go to the first item, or whichever surface you're trying to get it to reflect off of, and you want to go down to where it says response. And right now it says impact parentheses detonate. That right now, when the plasma pistol bolt hits something, it just disappears because it damages the surface and destroys itself. That's not what we want. So go ahead and click that, and you want to change it to bounce. Okay, and so now it's going to be bouncing off of this default material. And let's go ahead and add it to hard metal thick. I just want to add it to a couple more surfaces so that I know that it's going to reflect off of what I have in Forge. Yeah, so there. I added to like 4 different surfaces, but each time it just says bounce. So now what you want to do is go ahead and hit poke so that it adds it to the map and to go back into Forge. Okay, so now that you're in Forge, go ahead and you're going to need to spawn a plasma pistol or whatever weapon you're modifying right now. And you're going to need to have some kind of surface for it to bounce off of. I guess you could use the terrain, but oops, I don't want to do that. I'm going to add a wall here too, just so I can. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pick up our plasma pistol and try it on this wall. So as you can see, it's reflecting off that surface, it reflects off the terrain, and some of that terrain too, and it just shoots in every direction, so it's working. But let's go back and see what other settings we can modify to make it better. So the first one is this one that says between angle. Between angle is currently set to minimum 0, maximum 0, and so it doesn't do anything. But if I were to change this between 0 and say 30 degrees, now I have to hit the surface with my shot between a 0 and a 30-degree angle, or it won't ricochet. And this is actually what the sniper's default is set to, which is why the sniper shots don't ricochet every single time you hit something. It has to be between this angle. But once again, if you set it to 0, then it doesn't do anything. The second one is at velocity. This one just makes it so that you have to hit the surface between a certain velocity for it to be able to ricochet. 0 and 0 means that it doesn't apply. The next interesting one is this one that says scales effect by, and there's 2 options. It says damage and the other one is angle. Now this one makes it so that the angle that the shot comes off of the surface from will either be increased based off of the damage that the shot has, or based off of the angle that the shot hits the wall. So the greater the angle, the greater the reflection. And the last 2 that are very interesting is angular noise and velocity noise. Now, angular noise makes it so that when you set it to, like, let's say 100 degrees, the shot when you hit the wall will come off at a different angle. So if you look on screen right now, this is the shot with a angular noise of 0. So it just keeps hitting the same direction. But when I change it to 100 degrees, it comes off at a bunch of random directions. So I guess depending on what your mod is, what your minigame is, whatever you're trying to do, if you want that consistency, leave it at 0. If you want it to be a little bit random, increase it to like 100 or something. And then, of course, the next one is velocity noise. This one just makes it so that when it hits the surface, it'll come off at a random velocity. So some pretty cool stuff that you can work with. Alright, now that we have the plasma pistol done, let's go ahead and figure out how to add this effect to a vehicle. So go ahead and go to your search bar on the left and type in the letters VEHI. This is the shorthand for vehicle. And at the second from the bottom, you should see the vehicle category. Now, these are all of the vehicles that are in this map specifically. And I'm going to go ahead and modify the Scorpion. So go ahead and find Scorpion on the list. It's right here. Now, you'll notice there are 3 Scorpions, and it's not because there's 3 Scorpion vehicles, it's because each part of the Scorpion is its own entity. So this Scorpion right here is just the main vehicle. This, which is Scorpion _ anti _ infantry, is the minigun on the front that a passenger can get in. And this, which is Scorpion _ cannon, is the big gun. That's the one I want to modify. That's the one I'm clicking. Alright, so now that we're here, you want to go ahead and type in the search bar weapon. And on this button to the right, go ahead and select the category that says weapon. You know, in the right spot because it says weapon and it should have abbreviated WEAP with a link right here. So go ahead and click go to. Alright, so now you're in the weapon settings of the cannon. You want to go ahead and type into the search bar projectile. And click the button to the right and select projectile. Once again, you know in the right spot because it says projectile, PROJ, and then has a link. So go ahead and hit go to. Alright, finally we're in the projectile part that we can actually modify. And of course you know you're in the right spot because it says .proj. So that's the section you can make that bounces. So go to the search bar and type the word reflection. Okay, and it only comes with two options. They're in the same spot, so go ahead and hit X. Now in this, where it says material response, you'll notice that this one only has 4 different materials that it can interact with. And so it doesn't have everything that the plasma pistol had. So it has some random fence, a plant, and an energy shield and vulnerable. An energy shield is like if you have those shield walls that you can make out of the gadgets category. All right, so let's go ahead and change the default material to bounce. Okay, and let's poke that through and see what happens. Okay, now that everything's been poked through, let's go ahead and test it on some terrain first. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot the ground, and you can see it ricochet there. I'll shoot this mountain and it shoots straight up. Alright, so that works. And let's try it on this wall. So let's go shoot the wall, and it bounces off the mountain and hits a different direction. So that definitely works. But, as I mentioned just before, it doesn't have as many categories. It only had 4, while the plasma pistol, for instance, had 9 or 8 or whatever it was. So I could try shooting this water, for instance, and nothing ricochets. But I can shoot this train right here, and it shoots up into the distance. So there's a pretty simple solution on how to fix this to get it to ricochet off more surfaces. And you can do that easily by going back into assembly. Go ahead and let's go back and open up our plasma pistol. So I'm going to type plasma into the search bar and go back to weapons and find my plasma pistol. So right here. And once again, type in projectile and go to the projectile of the plasma pistol and then type in reflection. This doesn't have to be the plasma pistol, it could be any object, but we need its values for different materials. So go ahead and, after you typed in reflection, go ahead and get rid of the X so it ungrays out everything, and I can see material response. So I mentioned this earlier that there's a global material index. So for instance, the default material is 0, and then for liquid it's 2, and for hard metal thick it's 100. So what you can do is go ahead and whatever material you want it to reflect off of, so if you wanted a liquid, copy its global index number, go back to the Scorpion Cannon round projectile, and in its material response category, you want to go ahead and click on this eye. Alright, and once you click on the eye, you want to increase this number by 1. So right now it's 4, I'm going to change it to 5. And now you can see it's 4 through 4, 5, with the parentheses 5. So click on the last one, and it's some random ID number. I mean, it's -3 to 32, I mean, whatever, random name. So, like, change this to liquid, and then change the global material index to match whatever you're trying to change. So if you want liquid, you put in 2. So 2. And there you go. Now it'll reflect off of liquid. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. And if you'd like to learn more about Halo modding, then make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified when I do make new videos. If you make anything cool, then feel free to link to it in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.